Meanwhile, at the LAB, good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the Undaunted Labs where the future is being made today. We have made excellent progress, sir, and will be more than happy to show off some of our discoveries, Dr. Samuel says as Admiral Cistern walks into the laboratory. The military man pauses, considers, then simply turns to the scientist with a mildly baffled look on his face. I know a quote when I hear it, but I don't know where it's from, he says, and the doctor waves him off. I'm sure it will come to you in time, sir. Now then, if you'll follow me, we have some excellent advances to show you and several interesting observations that explain a great deal about the technological and psychological development of the galaxy as a whole, Dr. Samuel assures him. This way, please. Admiral Cistern follows the man past the blast shielding to a table with several machine components dismantled and labeled in front of him with a large device with similar labels all over it. It vaguely resembles a cube with the front and back removed. I see you've reverse-engineered the technology in this piece. Yes, indeed, sir. This weapon, known as the Endless Barrage, or the CS-92, one of 10 illegal weapons of the CS series. After the first 50, each weapon designation grows more and more restricted, the final 10 being outright illegal to own. But not to sell, Admiral Cistern asks. Loopholes, sir. The weapons are actually in a minimum of 2 components and not actually made until they're slotted together. Making the components is perfectly legal, selling the components is perfectly legal. Slotting them together is where you break the law. Incidentally, my dismantling of the weapon has rendered it legal to possess. Half the legal system in the galaxy is loopholes, if not 2/3, Admiral Cistern notes with a sigh. Yep, anyways, what we've learned from this is the shrinking technology. Unfortunately, it's not like in movies and TV shows. Shrinking things is just the first part. Keeping it shrunk afterwards is the tricky part, Samuel explains as he takes a pen out of his breast pocket. Observe. He places pen in the large device. He then opens a small cover and flips a toggle. The device audibly powers up and begins to hum. The pen seems to vanish from sight, and Admiral Cistern squints a little to see a tiny little scratch in the machine. The machine ceases humming and powers down. Moments later, the pen visibly grows from the scratch. Dr. Samuel picks it up and places it back in his pocket. As you can see, it requires constant application of the shrinking field to keep a shrunken object shrunk. Thankfully, we have a great deal of understanding about the process now. Amusingly, the black box components of this weapon are in the firing mechanism and the ammunition production rather than the shrinking technology. Things we have little, if any, issue with ourselves, Samuel explains. So this prototype can be of use? Admiral Cistern asks. We need a bit more refinement of the techniques and a bit more experimentation with the equipment before we produce our own endless barrages. But we can already apply its technology to our existing shipboard armaments and save enormously on cargo space for both standard supplies and ammunition. This sample here is a crude prototype mock-up, the first attempt, and it's yet to fail on us. You mentioned societal impacts? Yes, sir, Dr. Samuel notes. Ordinarily, there'd be another doctor here, but they seem to have elected me spokesman. The scientist shrugs with a rueful smile. Anyways, the societal implications of loading chamber, feeding mechanism, and chemical composition to the warheads, all being the black box part of the technology, speaks to a technological skip. To summarize, thanks to Axiom, they went from throwing rocks to powered flight to hyperdrives. They have very few, if any, of the technologies that we see as a step from one area to another. Their idea of kinetic ammunition is a railgun or a magnetic launcher, not gunpowder. As such, a lot of advances that we consider basic are relatively unknown. Relatively? These technological midway points are not in any way too complicated for them to figure out. It's just that they never needed to. So if we see something like a hot air balloon, or in this case rocket-propelled grenades, then we can be assured that it's a fairly unusual piece in the galaxy at large. This one in particular uses a very similar explosive to our anti-armor grenades, a little less effective in fact, but the sheer numbers it can bring to bear gives it all the firepower it needs. So what you're saying is that we can fully load these endless barrages? Yes, which is actually quite the boon. The reason why there's not a larger attempt to suppress these weapons is that the ammunition cartridges are sold at exorbitant prices. If we can simply reload them ourselves, then we can easily maintain numerous endless barrages, normally a very cost-prohibitive endeavor. Reloads of the endless barrage cost more than buying a new one. Quite the scam, Admiral Cistern admits before Dr. Samuel leads him to another table. An effective one too, sir. Bringing an endless barrage to battle is galactic shorthand for F you and your entire army despite, or perhaps justifying the cost of the weapon is its extreme capability. Technician Pike did mention that there was a flurry of excellent manners when he made his possession of the weapon known. I believe it, sir. Still, we've gotten ourselves a great number of tricks to allow for enormous force multipliers. We have a few different directions we can take our current advancements in, and I was thinking about upgrading the main weapon batteries of the Dauntless. We were also thinking about upgrading our storage and factory settings. The expanded space and shrinking technology used in conjunction should allow us an enormous amount of leeway and breathing room inside the ship's hull for manufacturing purposes. We're also looking into battlefield uses of this technology. Easily transported cover and defensive positions complete with turrets and medical stations would be an absolute game-changer on the battlefield. Dr. Samuel explains, and Admiral Cistern nods as he churns things over in his mind. I see, he says and considers. The good doctor watches for a few moments before the man's eyes open with a grin. Dr. Samuel, I think it's time we begin specializing our fleet. The Dauntless is an excellent mobile base and transport. Its communication hubs and enormously powerful hull give it a wonderful position as the armored heart of a fleet. However, I will not condone sacrificing its ability to enter and exit cruel space. Therefore, I want you and your teams to design support ships that can be built within the Dauntless's facilities. I want the current focus to be upon additional support vehicles. Begin with salvage and mining vehicles, construction vehicles, repair vehicles, survey vehicles, and research vehicles. After that, I want to see designs of strike craft, light escorts, heavy armor, bombardment, and long-range tactical vessels. By the time this team is finished, the information and blueprints alone will allow a singular Dauntless-class ship to slowly produce combat-effective fleets the moment it leaves cruel space. After writing it all down, Dr. Samuel actually considers things for a moment before smiling. A bit of good news already is that many of the tools and equipment required for salvage, repair, and construction have a great deal of overlap. Especially between repair and construction, what you need to fix a ship can turn one out with sufficient resources. Survey and research have a great deal of overlap as well. Powerful scanners and observational tools are useful in a variety of fields. And I'll assume that reducing what we're producing in the vessel to 3 types of ship will be of great use. Yes, but I need to write this down. FTL-capable mobile scaffolding, ships dedicated to hydroponics and luxury. If we design this right, then a Dauntless might be more than the heart of a fleet. It would be the heart of a soaring nation-state with the firepower, logistics, and technical capacity to defend itself in any scenario. Forget colonizing worlds. We'll take all the space between. Dr. Samuel rants with clear glee in his voice and receives a 2-fingered swat in the head. Curb the enthusiasm, Doctor. Mania brings us messes, not results, Admiral Cistern notes. Furthermore, I just thought of a 4th type of vessel that Dauntless-class ships will have to turn out. Sir? Dr. Samuel asks. Some form of tug. I want all life pods on all ship designs to be null-resistant, if not outright immune. I want tugs that can operate in null to rescue these pods should the worst happen. Steel and metals can be reforged. A veteran is rather harder to replace, Admiral Cistern says, and Dr. Samuel just smiles. Sir, the sheer tonnage that all but the survey and science vessels will have to move in performing their normal duties means they can double as tugs. However, making them cruel space-friendly as well is an interesting challenge. Dr. Samuel remarks in thought. See to it, Doctor. Now I'm certain we've both given each other an enormous amount of food for thought, so I'll leave you to it. I want your early designs and estimates on my desk in a week. A week? Dr. Samuel exclaims. You have an entire galaxy's design structure as well as our own to draw from, a dedicated team and several doctorates. A week is overly generous for crude prototype designs. Admiral Cistern states calmly, and Dr. Samuel considers it and then has the decency to look somewhat embarrassed at his earlier outburst. Yes, sir. We'll have some of the basics on your desk soon enough. Good man. Incidentally, if you have a list of tools or resources you find yourself lacking, do feel free to inform me. Well-funded scientists are effective scientists. Thank you, sir. Thank me with results, Doctor. Good day, Admiral Cistern says before turning to leave. This is good. This is very good. He had waited a long while to make an order such as this, and the fact that the only thing that even mildly surprised Dr. Samuel was a time frame meant it was not only possible, but almost easily so. Space stations, self-maintaining fleets, entire worlds. Humanity would build it all. He reaches his office and quickly begins to go through the couple of small reports that have cropped up during his visit. He glances around and then out to his overview of the main bridge. The minimal crew requirement is there and working. Coffees can be seen and the general buzz of energy is moving about. Less than 10 years before this site is common. In all likelihood, another Dauntless-class ship has already been commissioned and is a fair percentage completed. How many will be produced, I wonder? Tens, hundreds, thousands, millions. He returns to his desk and finds the comm. Button flashing. Sir, Miss Downshift would like to speak with you. Thank you. I'll be down to see her shortly, he says, standing right back up again. His crisp stride and quick visit to the anti-gravity hallway brings him to her personal quarters fairly quickly. Miss Downshift? You wish to speak? He asks after being let into her room. She's waiting for him with her right hand held over the central computing core in her chest. I, Caddy Downshift, in full command of my mind and body, of my own free will and under no coercion do so swear to uphold the rights and responsibilities of the Undaunted. To this I shall serve to the best of my abilities. My method of serving shall be dictated by my lawfully acquired rank and status among the Undaunted military in all of its branches, be it general service, command, research and development, infrastructure, or the Earth Foreign Legion. For a period possibly greater to but no less than 5 standard galactic years will I serve to the fullness of my capacity and of my own free will, to accept and dispense lawful commands as appropriate, and to refuse unlawful commands as appropriate. I will uphold the laws of the Undaunted and keep its secrets and trust to the best of my abilities and insights. Should I prove myself a danger to my fellow soldiers, incapable of fulfilling the roles entrusted to me, or in some other manner unfit for duty, my rank and standing may be suspended or stripped from me entirely for the betterment of the Undaunted and myself. This I have sworn fully aware of the implications and interpretations of this oath, and do so without reservation or doubt. I am undaunted. She vows to the surprised admiral, who regards the oath with first risen eyebrows, then a confident smile as he moves to stand at ease. I see. Allow me to be the first to welcome you to our nation, madam. It will take some time to process this, but Not much. Though if I may ask, he says smoothly. One of the robot woman's ears tilts somewhat in curiosity. What prompted this decision? I am not Fosa. She begins before her air vents circulate to simulate a sigh. The race I remember living as, what I remember being for most of my life. I'm blatantly not that, because it wasn't my life. Oh sure, I'm the same general shape and have many of the same urges and the memories of one. I even have a synthetic womb. I can do anything a Fosa can, but I'm not. Legally speaking, I was born a luxury air car. It was you. It was your people that gave me a proper name. I haven't had a home till I came to be here. So you wish to make it official? More than official. I want it to be true. I want to be an undaunted. Welcome aboard. We're still rather new to this, so we'll find an appropriate ceremony to celebrate your joining us.